Hello everyone, this is Gian. I'm back with a new video. I hope everyone is well. I know it's been about a week or so, or a few days since I last made a video. As you may tell from the sound of my voice, I'm pretty tired. This is a very busy period of the year for me with work and just everything in life going on right now. So I'm a bit out of it, to be honest with you. But I figure I would try to make a video. There's so many things I want to make videos on. There's always more content than time to create videos. But I figure I would tackle this because it's happening right now, and I will admit it's fairly easy to opine upon and kind of taking the easy way out. But this is a question that keeps popping up. Especially with this whole this debate that's been going on for a while now of what is the appropriate, proper, respectful way, right, to present female characters, right, or just the female body, the female image in geek media like video games or comic books and all of this other stuff. And it seems that there's this, I don't know, maybe it's a generation gap or the generation is changing, but when I was younger, when I was a kid, right, the general consensus was, less is more, right? Or less is better, right? Or the sexier, the better. That's what was popular in the 1990s and in the 80s, but certainly moving into the 90s, right? Everything was sort of, going over the top because that was what was in edginess. And now it seems that we're on this 30 years later, we're on this Puritan kick where a costume like this wouldn't have garnered any attention, or at least any major attention, any sort of drama back when I was a kid, right? But now there's this question, as this Twitter user called That Old Gamer Guy asks, saying, "Are sexy female character designs offensive to you? Ever since the reveal of Project Eve, I've seen several takes decrying female leads with sexy body types or wearing outfits that show it off. Curious on how you feel about them, good or bad." Now, of course, I responded to this on Twitter saying that no, I'm not bothered by it. I think that sex appeal, right, is a beautiful thing. It's beautiful, it's powerful. And I think, honestly, that's what scares a lot of people, the power in sex appeal, in particular female uh, sex appeal. But that's a discussion for another day, right? But there's been a lot of what's what I'm looking for, conversation and debate, which is fine, right? But as anybody who's been on my channel or on my Twitter for any time knows, I am not against sex appeal. When you literally grow up listening to uh, a grown man sing about how sexy he is, I'm just a sexy boy. But when you grow up listening to that, at least for me, it's very hard to be against sex appeal when your favorite wrestler ever literally marketed himself on his good looks. But anyway, I wanted to cover two tweets in particular that I saw, right? Which I'm going to scroll down to cover this one. And to be fair, this person and I, casual gamer and I, have been, I guess you could say, interacting online. And I don't mean this as any sort of call out or to be snarky or offensive. I'm just trying to give, I guess, like a more thorough, extended answer because you can only express yourself but so much on Twitter because character limits. So, casual gamer says offensive, no. Why though is the question. Pointless, yes. Why are they turning female fighters into sexualized objects? That's not what a woman would go to battle, and it's not what actual women in combat wore. It goes against the whole "don't objectify women's speeches" complaint. Well, here's the thing, and as I tweeted at this individual, right? This clearly is not based in any sort of reality. As they would explain to me later, this is some sort of like cyberpunk or steampunk sort of setting. So, yeah, I don't expect uh, a character like this to wear anything practical. The vast majority of video games are fantasy. Practicality seldom is a real issue. You're not designing real armor for real people. As I've said in the several videos I've made covering this type of thing, character design is really about storytelling. It is visual narrative. It is to give you an idea of who this character is about without you knowing anything about them. Take, for example, fighting games are a great example of this, right? And someone did post an image to me of Zangief, asking, well, why doesn't anybody ever talk about the impracticality of his outfit? And I responded with, well, actually, Zangief's outfit is perfectly practical because he's a pro wrestler and his look tells you that. You can look right at him and tell he's a professional wrestler. That's all really you need to know about Zangief. He's a pro wrestler, which means he's going to be a grappler, right? The fact that his outfit is little more than red trunks and red boots is irrelevant, right? Street Fighter is a fantasy fighting game. Just as nobody can really generate energy into their hands and fire a fireball, or no one's really going to allow a masked vigilante in matador pants and shoes with a claw on his hand to actually fight someone in a cage. Like, MMA is not going to allow that, right? So you can have totally over the top character designs that don't make sense or fit in the real world because it's so over the top. It's not trying to fit in or mimic the real world. If you want a real world fighting game, pick up a sports title like the various MMA titles or boxing titles. But even then, in those sports, right, women's MMA, most of the women wear these, crop tops and these shorts um, that are, close fitted to the body because you have to grapple, right? And so you don't want loose clothing when you're grappling, unless you've studied a martial art like Brazilian jiu-jitsu, where you're taught to grab the shirt or grab the gi or whatever, right? But you're typically not going to find anyone, male or female, wearing loose clothing in martial arts. The closest thing I've seen to it in the modern day is this fight league called Karate Combat, where at least the male fighters, I haven't seen the females yet, but the male fighters wear these relatively loose pants because the emphasis is on the fact that they're fighting karate. So for the visual, right, they wear your traditional karate gi, which is going to have the open jacket or the baggy jacket and the long pants, right? So that's a little bit different. But outside of that, I haven't seen anything when it comes to real life combat sports where people wear especially loose clothing. So even in real life, if that's what you want to focus on, a professional fighter is going to wear something that fits close to the body, like this woman's, I guess, leggings or whatever it is, because you don't want that cloth being grabbed and you don't want it getting into your face or anything getting loose, right? But anyway, so that's to address the whole, uh, realism in an unrealistic video game argument. But then it says, turn female fighters into sexualized objects. This is what frustrates me a bit. Because my question is who's sexualizing who? Right? Who's doing this turning? Just because a woman, be she real or imagined, is attractive doesn't automatically mean she is sexualized or is being objectified. This type of response makes me wonder if it's not you, the person saying it, who's objectifying the character. Because I don't look at this particular character here and see an object. I see a young woman, right, looking off into the distance. I don't know what her story is. Maybe she is a robot or something. You have these things glowing on her back. but I don't look at her and see a sex toy or see something that is hypersexualized. And I grew up in hypersexualized. But that's not what I see. I just see a female character with very long hair. But I've seen this type of argument used for characters like Quiet from the Metal Gear Solid games, or other types of video games, and I'm like, I'm not gonna say that sexy outfits for certain characters don't exist, right? I've always used the example of Ivy Valentine, right? She has a very visually and sexually aggressive design, but that doesn't mean that she's a sex object. It means that her theme, or yeah, theme is a good term, of domination, right, is being visually expressed in a particularly sexually aggressive way. It doesn't mean she herself is just some sort of, virtual sex toy. She is this character who does have this fleshed out backstory, and it's like, if you, as the viewer, cannot look past their appearance, whether it's Ivy Valentine, or Faye Valentine with Cowboy Bebop, or whether it's Chun Li, or whether it's Lara Croft, or whether it's Samara or Bai Kin, or anyone, this girl here, right? If you can't look past their appearance, and in my opinion, this character's appearance is totally tame. I grew up seeing much more indecent characters as the norm and the standard. But if you look at them and all you see is a sexualized female fighter, then it's like, well, maybe you need a new pair of glasses, or new lenses, or a new perspective, or something, right? And then, of course, the argument of, what that's not what a woman would wear to go to battle. It's not what actual women in combat wore. I already addressed that, right? Here's the thing: I don't see sex appeal as automatically objectifying toward women or men. It just means that you are visually appealing in a way that for some individuals might be uh, sexual in nature, right? Not every single person looking at this image is going to look at her and be sexually attracted. People may look at her and find her attractive in a general sense. Oh, pretty young girl in video game. Not every person looking at her, male or female, straight or not, is going to look at her and, get that primal urge. Same way, not every male character is looked at in this sexual lens, right? I can only speak for myself, right? Been playing fighting games all of my life. The majority of male fighting game characters are shirtless and they're ripped. The majority of them do not appeal to me in a particularly sexual way. They look cool as characters, but I don't find myself going, damn. Some get that reaction out of me. Usually long-haired, blondes and red. I am a fan of Shawn Michaels after all. But right, the majority of male characters, even though they have these very visually, aesthetically attractive bodies, don't have that effect on me. That's just the way it is. Because I don't look at every single man with how sexually appealing are you to me glasses. I take the characters as they are. Like, it's hard for me, honestly, to find Vega attractive when he's trying to murder people. Like, I can admit on a surface aesthetics level, yes, Vega's very handsome. Right, that's the literal point. He's the Bishonen character. He's the pretty man. He's the vain fighter, right? Thank you for a gorgeous time. But I don't look at him and like lust after him. Kind of hard to do that after growing up watching the Street Fighter 2 movie where he tries to murder Chun Li. I'm just saying, he doesn't have that effect on me. Kind of hard. Kind of hard, at least for me to feel that way toward him. But I know, hey, he's a psychotic murderer. Right? But that's the way I look at it, right? And of course, we were sort of going back and forth on it. And then there was another one. I'm gonna try to pull it up, so I'm gonna have to pause the video for a moment. So give me a second. Here we go. Finally found it. So here is this other one from someone who calls themselves Kami Carb Queen, saying, I have a lot of issues with female characters in games. And to be fair, this is someone I've tweeted at also, just to be, transparent, right? But it says here, I have a lot of issues with female characters in games. For so long, female characters have been nothing but fetish symbols for men. They're there to look sexy and be one-dimensional. When game companies started making more deep women, they were cowards and didn't stick with it. Well, first of all, what kind of irks me about this comment is that she doesn't provide any examples, and even in the tweets that she hasn't responded to them yet. But I'm like, what fetish fuel characters? Do you mean like Chun Li, Samus? Because those are not fetish fuel. They are very attractive women, right? They look good in blue, but it doesn't mean that they're fetish symbols. And hell, Chun Li got an actual totally pointless, except for fan service, shower scene in the Street Fighter film, and still, she's not a fetish symbol, right? Meaning that her only role in the game is to be this character who makes boys and probably a fair amount of girls, you know, wag their tail, their tongues and other body parts. Let's just say. And again, this harkens back to my point earlier about viewpoint. Who exactly is the one seeing these female characters as fetish symbols here? Now, yeah, there are certainly a lot of character designs in various games that can be argued to be fetish fuel, right? Or based in a particular sexual fetish. But even then, that can be a variety of things. There are, for example, there are a lot of video games and a lot of geek media in general that feature women in glasses, right? And to a lot of people, women in glasses is a fetish, right? But do we consider those female characters who happen to wear glasses as fetish symbols? Or do we note that there are going to be some people in the audience who are going to look at this character and see an element in their design that they feel is sexually appealing or feel sexually attracted to, right? If that makes any sense, right? So, and my thing is, okay, like when video game companies started making more deep women, what do you mean by that? Because at least in my experience, the video games that have become franchises and have existed and been going on for, 10, 20, 30 years have typically been going on because they have interesting characters and long running stories. A good example is Hideo Kojima, right? He's been doing Death Stranding, but of course, his most famous video game is the Metal Gear series. And that video game has many different types of female characters. You have Meryl, you have Quiet, you have Fortune, you have the Beauty and the Beast unit. You have supporting characters like Paramedic or Naomi Hunter or Mei Ling, and you have characters who are antagonists like the boss. And I'm like, having played these games, and when I think of these characters, I'm like, where is the lack of story? Where is the one dimension? The boss is your classic tragic heroine. Like, I read this comment, and I'm not trying to blame this person or shame their opinion. They're entitled to their opinion, but I read this comment and like part of my brain flashes back to a video that Anita Sarkeesian did when she was doing Tropes v Women. I forget which video it was, but there was a point where she like flashes through several female characters from different games, and her argument is that, oh, these characters are just made to look like bimbos. And one of them is the boss from Metal Gear Solid 3. And it's from the end of the game, um, when the boss has her cat suit unzipped, which is the only time you ever see her show skin in the whole game. And I remember when I watched that video and I saw that clip, and oh my god, I lost my mind. I was so incensed. I literally recorded like a 1 hour rebuttal, but I'd never posted it because at that time that's just not what I did. I had no intention of having a channel, but oh my god, like that moment is what set me so fiercely against Anita. I'm like, how dare you insult the boss in this manner just because you take one instance completely out of context and you look and you see this older blonde woman with her cat suit open, and immediately you're the one going, oh, she's a bimbo, without taking any time to actually learn about the character, learn about the series, or just plain watch the cutscene, watch the end of the game. I mean, Anita's series was only what, like 7, 8 years. 1 second. Anyways, I was saying it was like Anita's series was only like 7 or 8 years ago, and Metal Gear Solid 3 came out in like the early or mid 2000s. So by the time she was making her videos, the game and all of its cutscenes and playthroughs and all of this were out there. So it's like you could have literally just looked up the the final boss fight of the game and learned why she looked the way she did. But no, you just take an image completely out of context and claim that it's something that it's not. And for me, reading this, it brought back very bad memories. But it's like, again, well, first of all, this is kind of sexist to say that it's just fetish fuel for men, as if women don't find other women attractive, whether in general or in a physical, sexual manner. But again, it's like, okay, who's the one with the fetish here? Who's the one reducing these female characters, right, down to just their appearance? I don't think it's the majority of male players, and I don't think it's the majority of female players. I think it's some of the Twitterati who want to, on the one hand, get all up in arms, right? Like, the best way I can describe it is the classic phrase, the lady doth protest too much, right? Where you're projecting. It's like, uh, that sort of common story or stereotype about like the like anti-gay priest who ends up, or the anti-gay bishop or whatever it is, who ends up being gay himself, and it turns into a scandal. That's what a lot of these comments remind me of. It's like the more that you try to virtue about how these designs, which again, to me at least, is positively tame, but the more people try to signal about how, oh, it's so offensive and it's so objectifying. I'm like, you're kind of giving yourself away. You're really giving yourself away. And I know that, for example, Blizzard has been getting mocked for this because they changed some background art, uh, in, what was it, like the old version of World of Warcraft. They literally went back and they changed a few portraits. They took one portrait of like a woman like reclining, and they turned that into a bowl of fruit. And they took another one where a woman is kind of in this like sexy dress, and her cleavage is showing, and they sort of like covered that up, put her in a much more modest outfit. It's like, that was never the problem, Blizzard. The background art was never the problem. The problem is how your real employees treat women. Stop abusing your employees. Right? Stop sexually harassing people. That's what people want. These like just these faux tokens of like, we're better, we've changed. See, we're covering up women. We are changing McCree's name. Forgive us. It's like, that's not the problem. You're not addressing the problem. Right, but yeah, that's about it. I think that's everything that I've got to say about it or can say about it. I know that I've sort of been here, there, and everywhere with this video. But anyway, see y'all around, and be happy, be healthy, be safe, and have a good day or night wherever you are this weekend. Bye.